Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Tenarium Tryinmorning Talk VNs. We have a number of games we're going to discuss today, including the Blind Griffin, Cute Demon Crashers, Those Without Names, Jesus Life, and Innate Imperfections. Chris is also going to give us a bit of the latest news in the visual novel scene, and we'll get started with that.
Well, yes, thank you very much, Patrick. I love how when you said the games including talking today, some of the games included, and then named every game we're going to be covering.
Yeah.
So,
well, we only have 5, so it's not that many. Unlike last time.
Fun fact, we did drop one game from the list just because it was so appallingly awful. we could not... I'd like to think that the criticism we give to games is fair.
Yeah, I'd like to think that too.
Yeah, I could not think of a single game. Like, of a single nice thing to say about it. It was just all awful.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be a very productive conversation, so we decided to just cut that and do something else instead.
Yeah, exactly. And to replace it, we brought in Jesus Life, which isn't going to be a minefield to talk about at all.
Nope.
Yeah, nothing at all. But yeah, how are you doing, Patrick? Are you doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing quite alright. It's been a good week.
It's been a good week, has it? My internet here is really slow, as I've complained about here a lot. It's like 6 down and 0.7 or 0.6 up or something, so I was trying to download Grand Theft Auto 5 all week. It took forever. It literally took about, I think, 2.5 days. And bar me turning it off at night, in the evening when I'm there, non-stop download. Took forever. But it's fun, because Patrick and I are probably going to play after this.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, we're going to do all those stereotypes about white men, and we're just going to shoot people. Indiscriminately, though, of course. Also, I hasten to add, before we move on to the news, I did take the last NaNoWriMo episode down from my channel. Need to quickly explain that. We covered, how many games was it? 37, 38?
I think it was 37 when we did that. Yeah.
37. There were some games which were in there. 2 of them, I wasn't comfortable with what we said. And I kind of like everything to be fine. So I took it down because of that. There was, I read around a bit and someone had said, oh, well, they're being too harsh. They're not giving proper criticism. I went back and listened to the video. We say exactly why we didn't like every game. I think rather well. I don't think we're just being maliciously bitter for no good reason. Well, I mean, we're not. I listened to it back. But, yeah, I think we did all right. It was just 2 games that I wasn't quite comfortable with, so I took it down because of that. So, we ended speculation about that? We good? We good? Yeah, okay, awesome. News! So, this is some old sort of news. There's this new site called SteamSpy.com, and you can see how many owners, roughly, a certain game has. Now, everyone sort of was a bit iffy and go, is it real? Does it actually work? And then Tom from MoCube, who did Cinders, buy Cinders, it's really good, came out and said that the figures on that site are consistent with the data he has. Or in other words, it is right. And there's some interesting sort of figures to be had on there. Like Long Live the Queen, for example. Love that game. It sold, I think, like 260,000. I think that was the highest selling game. I'm talking EVNs here. I'm not talking stuff with Japanese names. I'm purely EVNs. I'm pretty sure that was the biggest one I could find. Also, Reason to Rejoice, Gender Bender DNA Twister Extreme, at best has like 4,000 sales. How it got 4,000, how 4,000 people clicked on that, looked at the art, looked at the writing, looked at reviews and went, $25? Seems fine. I'll buy it. I don't know.
I'm sure it's all thanks to your video series.
What, that one I just get angrier and angrier and yeah, you're probably right. But I got very angry at that game. I thought it was outright just offensive. I was a man, but now I'm a woman, and all I want to do is go shopping and have sex. Whoa. Like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, I remember that one as well because I commented on that video. I think you did because it's not really a game where it's about trans people. It's more about people who were just like, I want to be in a girl's body because that's hot.
Yeah, because that's hot, and boy, would I have sex. Like, it was... it's the sort of thing you hear from, like, old men down the pub as a joke, right? You know, like, if you could be one thing, what would you be? You know, enter woman's here, exercise bicycle seat. Right? But they charged $25 for you to hear that joke. And it was tediously long. But I thought that was good. Even with what they did sell, they probably made a profit on it, which is quite annoying. But it didn't really sell very well at all. Sakura Spirit got like 100,000 was its first one, but then the sequel, Sakura Angels, didn't do as well. And of course, I think Sakura Fantasy, if it's not out now, it's out very soon, isn't it?
I guess so. I'm not really keeping up the tabs on the Sakura games, to be honest.
Oh, good. Well, I've got something to tell you then, Patrick. It leads on to our next bit of news.
Oh, joy.
Yes, WinCloud have announced 1 billion Sakura games. Like, there are so many now. There's Sakura Spirit and Sakura Angels, which are already out. There's Sakura... I think it's called Paradise, which is coming out. Am I right? And no, Sakura Fantasy is the one which is coming out. Oh god, am I going to have to look up what it's called?
I don't know. I think one of them's on a beach or something. I don't know if it's Sakura Beach or something.
Yeah. Sakura Beach. That's one of the ones which is coming out. They also announced Sakura Dungeon. I shit you not. I wish I was fucking joking. Right? It's set in a dungeon. And there are, you know, monsters you can defeat, like monster girls.
Okay,
guess how the combat's... Guess how the combat's done. Take a guess.
Is it going to involve certain body parts?
No, go on. Think, copying, let's say, something which did rather well.
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on this. I don't know. Tell me, Chris.
Match 3 combat.
Match 3 combat.
Match
really?
3 combat. Yep. For those that don't know what that is, do you know what Honey Pop is? Do you know what Candy Crush is? Like that. That's how you defeat it. My head just sunk further and further into my thing. But yeah, they've got Sakura Fantasy, which is, if not out now, coming out very soon. Then after that, they've got Sakura Beach, which, believe it or not, it's set on a beach. And on the Steam storefront, you can see 2 girls making out. Isn't that worth your money? Yeah, isn't that worth your money? 2 anime girls making out for... And Sakura Dungeon. There's this whole controversy about them just focusing on Sakura, and they did a Kickstarter about, what was it? The Last Guardian Spell, or something like that. Which they just appear to have stopped working on. And they gave their reasons and went, oh, it'll be sorted out soon. And I kind of... looked at them oddly and went, really though? Really? Will it? Are you sure? And yeah, lo and behold, they're just making more Sakura games and not bothering with the Guardian Spell, Last Guardian, whatever it was called. So if you thought Sakura was going away anytime soon, or WinCloud was going away, I don't think they are. He's also, I have said this before, but I need to apologise again. The main writer of that, and in fact, WinCloud, I'm pretty sure it's just one guy and they hire the rest of it out. He's from Brighton. That's where I'm from. Exactly the same city in the south of England. So I lived there. I was born there and then lived there for 10 years. So I apologise. Normally, we just keep ourselves to ourselves. Because I think it's like the gay capital of Europe, Brighton. Don't read too much into that. I'm not gay. But it's probably one of the reasons I'm so okay with it. It's just everyone being gay. But I apologise for WinCloud and the Sakura series. Because some people are going to have to buy it. Like, some people are going to buy it and they're going to go, this is terrible! And I apologise. I really do apologise. Last bit of news that we have to move on to. There was... Alright, VNsNow.com, right? You all knew this was coming. he, writes many reviews. Some people think he's fair, some people think he's don't, some people like him, some people don't, bloody bloody blah. Like, regardless of what you say, he's still the biggest reviewer in English visual novel circles. There's not anyone bigger than him. If you sort of like Google visual novel reviews and so on, you'll find him the same way I did, just through Google originally. And someone had a bit of an outburst at him. One of the people behind Loopysoft, who did stuff like the Menagerie and so on, and they had a serious outburst at him on Twitter. Now, JP sent a few, I think, like, snide tweets their way. Like, one of her tweets was something along the lines of, what was it? Here's a panel or stream about, learning about sexual identity. I can't quite remember. I haven't got the photo up in front of me. Please come and watch. And JP just replied with, nah, ... They're a bit petty. But the developer had a massive, massive go at him back, saying that, you don't fairly review my games and so on. And it was a wonderful job as to how not to do PR. Basically, because he is still the biggest visual novel. Like, sure, he sent a few snide tweets their way. I've seen the reviews that he made about them. Like, if you think we're unfair about our criticism, JP is spot on, alright? He goes through and explains everything he does. And, rewrote some of the smut from the demo of the Menagerie, which turned out to be vaguely better, which amused a lot of people. But that's not how to do it, right? Probably both sides are slightly in the wrong here. But, I mean, come on, JP has sent a few snide tweets and reviewed a few of their games below average. Not even bad, but below average. And then this dev just blew up on Twitter at him. And, accused him of all manner of different things. Like, how to put this nicely? Not supporting certain diversities. Such as, people from Brighton, to put it that way. Because I'm not getting involved in that. But, yeah, that's not how to do PR. And then I think I retweeted something she said, giggled at it, and then I got blocked as well. My own fault, don't get me wrong, but it's still a bit silly. And I think that covers all news, Patrick. Because it's the end of NaNoWriMo, there's very little news. Everyone was just still talking about NaNoWriMo games. I think 3 or 4 of which we're going to cover now.
Indeed.
I think that's a bit it on news, isn't it? So, should we get on to our first game? I think that's a good idea.
Sure, let's move on.
Let's move on. You can actually speak. Woof. See, I'm more involved in news. Patrick isn't. I'm not sure.
I try to stay out of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you could tell. But the first game we're going to be talking about, The Blind Griffin. Right, now this is made by... Oh, God, hang on. What is it they called them? Because I thought it was Cyanide Tea until 2 minutes before recording, and I looked
Yeah, they had a different name for it, the Asphodel Quartet.
Yeah, because I think it's 2 people who aren't in Cyanide Tea collabed with them in this. So yeah, it's by the Asphodel Quartet, which is Laurelie and... I'm so sorry. Nguyen?
I think it's Gwyn.
Gwyn, really?
Or Win, maybe. I think it's just Win, actually. That's how you pronounce it. Win. I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on that. Okay, Laurelie Win, I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. I don't know how to pronounce that surname, though. I'm really sorry. Cyanide. Okay, so those 2 are the people from Cyanide Tea. And they teamed up with Rins and Noemi K. Now, I think Noemi is the musician who did the music. And I don't know what Rins did, I'll be honest. Writer, maybe? I don't know. But... yeah, basically, these lot teamed up. But Cyanide Tea were the ones who did Taradin. Now, that was the game which Patrick and I unfortunately went into whilst everyone had bigged it up as the best game of last year. And we went into it and went, is it though? Really? Because she's supposed to, in that game, she's supposed to be going on this big journey and then she learns. But it's not, because she'll always start at the same timeline.
And I thought all that game did was show how naive and fickle someone can be. It's not this grand journey where she learns. She's just a bit dim and fickle. This game does that better. It always starts from the same timeline, but the same things will happen and nothing in general will change. So, before I start banging on about that, you open it up. It's got a lovely sort of custom user interface. Mm-hmm. Right, it's normally one of the first things I look for. It's like, have you put any effort into this game? Does it have a custom UI? Beautiful custom UI, right? It's set in San Francisco during the 1920s. So that's when the Prohibition was still in. And for those who aren't in America and don't know what Prohibition is, it means that alcohol was illegal. So you had all these speakeasies set up throughout America, which basically illegally served alcohol. Now, you can choose your own name to start in this. I chose Dave, of course. So we are a girl. we are a Chinese girl who moved down from Oregon, I think it was, to San Francisco. And you're walking the streets and suddenly you see these lights. And you're like, I'll follow these, I guess. And you walk up and there's like a candy store. And someone asks, do you want the job that we've got running? And you go, sure, not knowing what it is. And then, yeah, it turns out that the candy store is in fact a... Oh, God, sorry. The English person inside me is dying when I call it a candy store. No, it's a sweet shop, all right? It's a sweet shop. And once you go, yeah, there's a speakeasy downstairs. Now, there are several characters in this game. The main characters being Vivian, Marie, Giovanni, Emilio, and Alexei. And yourself. Now... 5 of these characters are really good, right? They're not just one walking trait disguised as a person. Emilio is that walking trait disguised as a person. Like, you get there and he's just angry at you. He doesn't like you immediately. But once you get inside and get to know him better, it turns out that he's not that bad. Yeah, Sundara. Or Sundara, whatever you say, right? Written all over. No sort of depth to his personality whatsoever. He's just that. The other 2 are really quite nice because you can only date the guys. Sorry, everyone who wanted something else, but you can go on to date 2 guys. But I digress. You go down there and meet these 5 different people. Very diverse cast, I must say. You've got sort of a black woman in there. And they do touch upon that at some point, because this is the 1920s. Everyone was still a bit racist then.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they touch on it because the black woman Vivian is also a singer, and then she gets on and some guy at the bar just goes, yeah, see, it's San Francisco. They were mobsters, right? They had to be. And they were like, oh, see, yeah, why have they got a Negro singing? See, yeah. And then the other one goes, yeah, well... I mean, skin color doesn't matter, right? Yeah. And the other one went, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I think they say something about how, yeah, are they allowed to have a Negro singing? And they're like, well, we're in a speakeasy, so legality kind of is out the window at this point.
Yeah, but that is pretty much all they touch up on racism. But yeah, sorry, I digress again. You go there and you meet these 5 people, and they go, oh, so how did you hear about the job? And she goes, I kind of didn't. I just followed the lights that were outside, and they all give her very weird looks and go, but what do you mean the lights outside? And she goes, well, they were sort of like these golden lights, right? And they go, oh my God, you're a magician, aren't you? And then you find out that you have magic. And that you need to pass a exam in order to keep your magic. And if you don't pass the exam, you will get your memory erased and then sent back to wherever else you was. But you've got, I think 3 or 4 months to prepare for it. And you have to choose a mentor. Now, that has to be Giovanni. He's the sort of rugged, bearded choice, right?
He's the strong Italian-American type.
Yeah, exactly. The kind of person you're surprised isn't in Chicago. Basically. I don't know whether he took a wrong turn and went, oh, San Francisco, fuck it, close enough. You've then got Alexei, who is, he's from Mother Russia. I can't do Russian. I can do Welsh, but unfortunately no visual novels are ever going to make a Welsh character. So my only accent I can do, lost on everyone. But yeah, you have Alexei. He's a bit strict. Probably the best fit to be your mentor, though, as you have to pick one of these three to be your mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Emilio, who's just this like cocky little 20-year-old, I think he is, or something like that. Cocky little 20-year-old, and yeah, he's angry all the time. And I mean, unless you got a thing for Cinderella's, no one in their right mind would ever choose him because you'd have to be crazy. So it sort of, goes on a little bit, and every guy has their own different problem. I have to say, normally I only ever play one route of a game and then stop, because going back for sort of small changes never quite seems worth it. I'm a big lover of fantastic RPGs with branching choices, but normally I just don't bother going back. However, I did play this and go back and do all three of them. That's how interested I was. I went for Giovanni first, because I am a mindless girl who loves ruggedness and good looks, of course. You could hear it in my voice. I thought that was a giveaway. And yeah, it turns out that whilst he's sort of mentoring you, he sort of struggles with his own powers as well. In it, it's good, honestly. I think because this time I didn't sort of like buy into the hype of, oh, it's incredible. I saw like one person tweet about it and they said it was good. And I was like, right, no, going into this clear mind, it could be crap, it could be really good, I don't know. And yeah, it turns out it's really good. You work behind the bar in the speakeasy, and then you're sort of like, you meet this old couple. But yeah, basically, it's sort of very, I don't know what, half an hour long, do you reckon? Half an hour, 45 minutes?
Yeah, for each path, you mean?
Yeah, for each path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a decent reader, if you're one of these people who likes to read every word, chances are it'll probably take you a bit longer than that. But yeah, it's how you come to terms with your magic and learning it and trying to master it for the exam so you can go on to live. And also, most of the guys have their own sort of personal struggles to the side that they have to get over as well. It's not kinetic as well, thank God. There are choices which matter, so you can get good and bad endings. I played so many kinetic novels which came out during NaNoWriMo. It was silly. So, but yeah, I mean, if this isn't the best visual novel that came out during NaNoWriMo, it will probably be one of the ones we'll mention later on. What did you think of the game, Patrick?
I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. One of the things that I also noticed about the game, which I don't know if you replayed some of the paths over again to get the different endings they involve, but if you do...
I only bother getting all the good endings because I see bad endings as just a failure state.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you get a bad ending, that's the game saying, nah, sorry, you lost, right? So I never bother going back to get the bad endings.
Well, I have to say, if you really want to check out the bad endings, they're actually pretty good. They're done well, and they're a bit dramatic too, so it's actually not too bad to check out. But one of the things they do if you replay a scene after you finish the path already is that they add little bonus scenes that you get that you don't see the first time around that take place from the other character's perspective that is your mentor.
Oh, that's
And it's a nice little touch because you kind of see what their thought process is, how they're taking to your character. And it's a really nice touch that I enjoyed. I was like confused at first. I'm like, wait, what's this going on right now? Because all of a sudden, like, you're seeing things from the other character's perspective, and it's like a big shift, but I quite enjoyed it.
All right, no, I didn't go back and do it. I know, spoiler, there are 3 hidden characters if you go back and play them. However, I didn't bother. I did the main 3 ones, and then I was like, well, I hasten to add, I probably still will go back and do them, but time constraints, basically, on a work day led me to not doing them. So it was a shame. I'll probably go back and do it. Now, things I wasn't too keen on, they talk a lot of the time in slang back in the 1920s. Now, that's fine, because obviously, why wouldn't they? Luckily for me, I know a lot of slang anyway. I lived, in Brighton, as I said, so I used to live like half an hour away from London. Slang is used so often. I've also like read enough, books and films and so on in order to know what they're saying. However, there was a few times I was like, I don't know what that means. And if you don't know what it means, you have to right-click, go into the options menu, select glossary, select the letter with the phrase that you don't know what it begins with, because they're highlighted in a different colour, the sort of like slang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, highlight the letter of the word that the word began with, or phrase began with, and then click on that, and then you get a definition. I was just like, that is like 4 clicks.
I don't know if you noticed, but when those words that are highlighted pop up in the text, you can actually just click them, and it pulls up the dictionary entry for them.
Yeah, see, well, it helps if you're not me, basically, so suddenly this glossary issue, not an issue, apparently. It's fine. Ignore everything I just said, because it's fine. My annoyance was that it always took 4 clicks to get there, but if you could just click on the word, I think I tried it, but it didn't work. Oh, well, that's normally what people say when trying to cover up their own stupidness, so I'll just admit I was probably being stupid. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. Okay, that completely blows that out. My main complaint was that it took like 4 clicks just to get to the glossary and then the words you wanted to see, and then I was just like, right now I've got to go back as well. If that's the case, fucking irrelevant. Second thing. Alright. Everything we state are opinions, okay? I don't like saying the word opinions because some people take it to mean somehow as exonerated from any criticism. No, not that at all. This is my personal preference, and I'll tell you why. The music in the game. Right? It was alright, but then this piano number started. And we're talking sort of like really old school piano. I really don't like old music. Like, that sort of old school, that era music. I once stayed at a girlfriend's house for 2.5 weeks. And she loves sort of like Roy Orbison and singers from that era. To get people who sing about how they want to take you to a church and, we're going to get married and so on. And because of that, I really, really dislike that kind of music. And this game is sometimes full of it. So, again, it's one of these opinion things. If you'd like that music, this is a positive to you. You're sitting there rubbing your hands going, fucking hell, that sounds great. I didn't like it. Like, certain numbers and songs in it, just because it just reminded to the songs being played at my girlfriend's over and over and over and over. Because I swear they had like 3 or 4 albums. They just played them. Every time you got in the car, every time you got back, you just wanted to smash your head into a wall by the time you left. But you see what I mean? Like, the bad things here, one of them wasn't even bad, and one of them is purely subjective. Mm-hmm. Right? This game is really good. If you haven't played it, I do implore you to do so.
Yeah, I would highly recommend checking out as well.
Yeah, if it's not the best visual novel which came out during NaNoWriMo, it's in the top 2. I think that would be a very safe assumption. Now, during NaNoWriMo, that podcast, we did a thumbs up, thumbs down system. We're not going to do that. I think we made it pretty clear that we liked Blind Griffin, didn't we? There's no reason to do like thumbs up or thumbs down, so we'll just move on to the next game, which is Cute Demon Crashers.
Yes, Cute Demon Crashers. Cute Demon Crashers, the description on VNDB is, while university students are out enjoying themselves, Claire, and that's the default name, I think you can name the character on your own, is stuck at home.
I named her Dave.
Of course. Is there any question for that? Is stuck at home and having spring break blues. After wishing for a fun fling, she suddenly finds herself in the company of 4 sex demons. 3 incubi and 1 succubus to be exact. Maybe spring break won't be so boring after all. So, the game starts out, and I have to say, I really like the start screen. It was very appealing, nice art. And, the game starts off, it has a setting for an 18+, so keep that in mind. It also has...
You can turn all
you can turn it off,
sort of, nudity and sexual content off. So, if you're under 18... and want to play it without your innocent little mind being hurt, you can indeed turn it off. You fucking won't, because this is the internet. No one says their real age. I've seen on my YouTube channel the amount of people who are supposedly over 18 watching me. When I was 14, I made a YouTube account and said I was 19. Right? That's just the thing which everyone does. People are going to play it, regardless. Just I'm going to say, don't. But yeah, go on.
Indeed. So it starts off with a warning that says it contains sexual content, that's a game about consent and feeling safe and intimacy. You're able to stop the sexy times at different points or choose to keep going. It also mentions it has no sex endings if you don't want to have any of that kind of stuff, so yeah, I guess that's cool.
Question jumps to mind. Did you try to see what happened if you turn all the sex off?
I didn't see what happens without the settings on, but I did try out some of the different endings.
Oh. I kind of feel, would there be a point to playing this game?
I would say no, but we'll get more into that later.
Yeah, alright, cool.
So, yeah, you get to name your character for whatever you want. The game begins. I have to say, first thing, the art's pretty good in the game. I certainly don't have any complaints about that. I mean, maybe you don't like the style, but it's well done.
Yeah, I really don't like the style. Just because,
yeah, that's what I figure.
Yeah, exactly. The character to the bottom left is, all these sort of like over-the-top Japanese expressions. Like when she gets angry, her eyes just, go black as if her eyelashes were suddenly, the size of Bigfoot's foot. But the art is undeniably very good. It's just not to my taste.
Yeah. So the game starts off with you on spring break, like the description mentioned. You get a text message from your friends, and they're all talking about the great time they're having with their boyfriends and girlfriends and that kind of thing. Your character's a bit envious of them, and she starts mentioning stuff like, oh, all I have here are my textbooks and my right hand. And at that moment, all of a sudden, there's a record scratch. There's a mysterious voice that says something about, oh, I could help you with a romantic fling. And then a girl with elf ears and horns appears. And your character's pretty shocked, as any reasonable person would be. Mm-hmm. Shortly after that, 3 men appear with a similar appearance with horns and ears and that kind of thing. And your character kind of freaks out a bit. She ushers them out into the hallway, saying that she needs to get changed. At this point, you can either call the police, which leads to an ending right away, or you can just listen at the door to hear what they're talking about. If you choose to listen at the door, you'll hear them talking about how they feel bad for scaring you. Your character realizes that they're not such bad people or whatever they are after all, and it's probably just a misunderstanding, so you talk to them in the hallway and get introduced to one another. During this point, your character starts to think that it's probably all just a dream. She looks behind the demons, and I think there's some purple vortex that's spinning in the middle of her hallway. The characters assure you that it's not a dream, that they're some kind of demons. They're succubi, or there's one succubus, and there's 3 incubi.
Mm-hmm. And you have to get the plural form of incubus correct.
I know.
It's like every time you get the plural form of cactus wrong. You're not allowed to. It's the internet. They will correct you, and they'll make sure you know it's cacti.
So the characters tell her that they're there because they heard her talking about how she wanted a romantic fling, and they're there to satisfy her requests. They also mention that if she doesn't want to do anything, they're cool with that. They're not going to pressure her into doing anything sexual. So, again, I guess it goes back to the positive sexual experience they were talking about in the description for this game.
Yeah, they push on that angle hard.
Yeah. So you guys talk for a while. You basically discuss about how incubi and succubus, or the one succubus, because there's one succubus, but plural there's succubi, I know that. But they feed off sexual energy, so it'd be a win-win scenario. They go on for a bit about this, and eventually your character goes back to sleep because she thinks it's all a dream, which that kind of doesn't make sense, but okay. So yeah. She wakes up the next morning and finds that the portal's still there, and one of the demons is cooking her breakfast, so she eats some of the food. She starts to accept that it's not a dream, and shortly after this you get to a point where you get shown a map of the house with the demons on top of like each room. Kind of like if you've seen Dandelion, they have the map of the house and you can pick who you want to hang out with, that kind of thing. The thing is, when you go to pick someone in this game, nothing happens. The game appears to be unfinished, so you just click on a room, it advances the time, but no scenes play out.
What?
Did you play this one?
Yeah, that didn't happen.
That didn't happen for you?
No, I clicked on the girl 3 times in a row, and then got her ending because of it.
Yeah, that's what I got too.
There was...
But no scenes played out between clicking on the name and then the ending.
Who did you click on?
I tried the different ones. I tried multiple ones and nothing happened. So you'd have another experience than I did?
Yeah. I didn't read most of it. It was, I'll be honest. I wanted to see how graphic the sex was. and then I was going to go back and read it, I swear. And then didn't. But yeah, I clicked on the girl in the garden who was there 3 times.
And you actually went out to the garden and talked to her?
Yeah. We played Mastermind, which is that thing where you have to... do you know what Mastermind is?
No, I do not.
It's like a code breaker. So, say you have to guess what order I have the 4 balls in.
Mm-hmm.
But I can only tell you how many you've got right by you guessing the amount. So let's say I have 2 black and 2 white. And then you just put down a row of 4 black ones. I can tell you that 2 of those are in the right position and the right colour. But I can't tell you which. And then you have to keep going until you get it right. And you've got 10 guesses. And we played that for a bit. And then afterwards, I think I helped her with the gardening. And then the 3rd time... I don't remember. It wasn't her personality, which was interesting. there are no 2 ways about that.
That's really weird.
I have... Can you tell? Honestly, right? This is the first time Patrick and we speak throughout the week about, loads of different shit, but we don't speak about the games until we're on this show. We want to keep that completely fresh. Maybe showing why it's a bad idea now.
Yeah, that's really weird, because I'm just trying again right now, and I still can't get anything. If I get to the menu, I click on the girl in the garden, the screen fades to black, and I pop up in the kitchen talking about something completely unrelated.
Yeah, that didn't happen with me.
That's weird. Maybe I got a different version of the game than you did. Maybe this one's more incomplete. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I got it after you, because I played this yesterday.
Right. I think I downloaded this a few days before you did and played it. This might be a newer version, or maybe I just found an old one. It says on the website that was updated on April 13th, so take that into account.
Yeah. All right, well, I'll go on in that case.
All right, so you can give the rest of the description if you want. I can cover the sex scene if you want, but whatever.
Oh, right, okay, well, that's what I was going to say. You go on that, and then I'll add my thoughts afterwards.
All right, so... yeah, basically after the scenes that I didn't witness, you get a choice of choosing between Aki, Mirari, and none of them at all. Is that the scene that you got towards the end?
None of them at all?
Yeah, I only had a choice between 2 of them or choosing none of them for the sex scene.
I had a choice between the girl and the... I don't know what his name is.
Probably Aki, the redhead.
No, the brown head.
No. Okay, well then that's totally different than what I got. Well, apparently they're completely different versions of the games that are available, and we play different ones. So, yeah, you got through VNDB, I'm assuming?
I got it through this. I got it through itch.
Yeah, VNDB leads to their official website. And then
sugarscript.itch.io, and then, I downloaded the Windows version.
Yeah, I downloaded Windows. It says version 1.0.7.
The
Aki
second
and
one
Mirari.
down.
Yeah. Well, I have no idea what the hell happened.
I have no idea what you've done. But yeah, go on. Go to the sex scene.
So either way...
that's what everyone wants to know about. They want to hear me, who is supposedly not comfortable with sex scenes and doesn't like those kind of games. And have you ever even done a sex scene on your channel?
I don't believe so. I don't think so.
Oh, well, this will be your first. Relish it, my good son. My first,
right.
I broke my virginity with a Katawa Shoujo sex scene. So, you get to break yours with Cute Demon Crashers. I think everyone should applaud slowly. He's about to lose his virginity.
I guess so. Thank you, everyone. So, yeah, you get a choice between choosing some of the demons, which might be different depending on what version of the game you got, I guess. And so if you choose to sleep with one, it basically starts out very slowly. It's kind of like rounding the bases. You're just like massaging each other at first, and then each time you get to choose whether you want to go further or whether you want to stop entirely. In my version of the game, you had a choice of stopping at any point because there was like a little stop menu.
Yeah, I had that. You get 3 choices pretty much every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, keep doing what you're doing, okay, move on and let's do something a little more sexy, or stop doing it now. I have never had sex as slow as this.
Yeah.
I must admit that the sex is so slow because you have to have like a massage. I am not very romantic. All right, I know this may shock some of you. Right? I'm not romantic in any way, shape, or form. I think I write last Valentine's, me and my band. I know my band and I got together, and we wrote a song for one of the girlfriends of the band there, and it was about her walking back home and thinking about how wonderful her boyfriend was, right? And the chorus, this is to the tune of Ash Shining Light. The chorus goes, I wrote this, see, it's clever. I walked in, he had an erection, a show-stopping thought of affection, right? These are the kind of things I do for Valentine's Day. So when the sex was really slow, you sort of sit there and you massage for a bit, and then maybe you kiss a bit, and then maybe you have another massage. It was slow, but yeah, sorry. I keep interrupting you. By all means, keep talking. I'm stealing your moment.
Well, I may disappoint you, but I'm not going to get into much detail about the sex itself, but you slowly round the bases while choosing what to do. Eventually, like depending on who you get to choose, you either decide to eventually have the guy put on a condom, or with the girl, I don't really remember what happens. I think you just start going for it. And yeah, it happens. It's really slow. I think the sex scene is, at least for me, it was about as long as the game itself. I don't know about Chris, since his version was a bit longer, apparently.
About 20 minutes, if that. I played through it very quickly, I'll be honest. I'll tell you why in a second, but I got through it very quickly. It's probably a bit longer than that.
Yeah. But yeah, after the sex is ended, you go back to sleep. When you wake up, they're gone because they had only a limited amount of time to spend with you before they left back through their portal. And I'm assuming at least as long as you had a good experience with them, they leave a note behind saying, hey, maybe we can visit again later and hook up again. And that's about it. Oh, and also if you don't choose to have sex with anyone, because I tried this out, you actually just play Mario Kart together and have an awesome spring break.
So before I go on, what did you think? Did you think this was a good game?
Well, because
apart from the whole not working thing.
Yeah, I didn't mind it too much. It's very unfinished, so I didn't really get to see how the relationships developed, which kind of left, not so great of an impression in my mind. But I didn't really mind the sex scenes.
There are 3 very small scenes of you talking to someone. I mean, there's as much progression as you'd imagine there is.
I got none, so
yeah,
it's infinitely better.
Oh, trust me, I got the 3 scenes, and I still may as well have got close to nothing. Like, you just sit around and you had a bit of a chat. But yeah, obviously, other than it not working, did you like it?
I actually really didn't mind it too much. If it was done, there was more that I could have seen of it, I might have liked it better and actually saying it's all right. But I don't know. Now that you're describing your version, I can't really judge based on what you've seen. But I don't know, because now I feel like I can't really judge it because of the version I saw.
Alright, I'll tell you what. I'll talk about what I thought about it now. You quickly download the version they have there now and see.
Do you have a link
works.
to the one that you have? Whatever.
Do I? Yes. Hang on. It is the second one on this page, which I've just posted in your Skype chat, which no viewer can see. Listener,
Indeed.
sorry. Right. Okay. So it's the second one down in that. So what I thought about it. I rushed through it because I'll be honest, I went into this with a slight bias thinking, this is going to be terrible. It's done by a company called SugarScript, and they don't credit themselves properly.
Yeah, they're all anonymous.
Yeah, they're very poorly anonymous. Like, I knew who the artist was just by looking at the art, but but. Yeah, they called themselves, like, I think one of them was, like, Caramel Glaze. And does it say on their page? Hang on. It doesn't, does it? No, it just says the SugarScript team.
Oh, right, just to interrupt for a quick second, I checked, and the version I have is only 1.0.6, so that would explain I guess the efficiency is.
And the current version is 1.0.7. So, yeah, I'll be honest, I went to this with a slight bias of just sort of going, alright, let's see how this goes on. And they push the consent thing very hard. Now, don't get me wrong, very important message, okay? If you try and sleep with someone and they say no, but you keep going on, I'm probably the kind of person who's just not going to speak to you, right? You're not cool, so to speak. I don't like you anymore. You're probably a bit of a dick. I think that's safe to assume. And it really pushes that hard, but it's hard to explain. There are these two YouTubers who I've met. Weird fact about me, I've met a lot of vloggers, not because I'm fans with them, just because I know someone who's very big, and I've gotten sort of like into parties and so on. And I've met two of them, and they did, Jack and D. I only met these two very, very briefly, mind. But they did this song called Consent. Do you know about this, Patrick?
I think you mentioned it to me prior to this, but I don't really know all the details, so go on.
Did I? I don't remember mentioning that to you. Oh well. All right, this is YouTube. I imagine you have a fair few teenage girls who watch you, obviously because of your sexy voice and good looks. That's a compliment. And I mean nothing by it, though. But
okay.
Yeah, so they'll know what it is. But basically, they sing about, like, going to a club. And they'd be like, oh yeah, well, we'll do whatever we want, but only with your consent. And then, this, sort of music comes by. Right, and it's an important message, but it's something which, it's very hard to know how to say, but it doesn't always fit in properly. Now, this did. Just merely because they said, if you don't want to do anything, by all means, don't do it. We are 4 fucking demons who have just intruded into your home. You don't have to have sex with us. That's fine. And yeah, you get like loads of different times to stop it there. I mean, basically what I'm saying is this sort of message is needed. It's just always very difficult to put into a game because it's normally uncool, if you know what I mean. Right? But yeah, and I think I got to the sex scene, and yeah, you have a massage and then a bit of a kiss, and then your fingers go searching slightly, and then they go searching further down, and yeah, I think I clicked off before then just because I was like, oh, okay, this does full on have sex. But I think for when I got this game and I was interrupted by 4 sex demons, I originally thought, oh, for fuck's sake, it's just Seduce Me again, isn't it? Like, this is exactly what happened in Seduce Me. Just 5 random sex demons showed up out of nowhere. And then I thought, yeah, but to be fair, they haven't tried to set a different tone beforehand. That's what I didn't like about Seduce Me. They tried to set a really serious tone.
Yes.
And they just blew it out of the water. Yeah, and then just blew it out of the water and went, no, sex demons, I'm sexy and I know it. Yeah, look at us, we're shaking our tissues for you, Where with this, it was a silly tone from the beginning. And they do say, oh, well, yeah, we do realise that this could be stupid. Normal thing, sex demons not being able to do their jobs properly because she apologises for warping in too fast. It's just like, really? Sex demons? And one of them's a virgin as well. It's just like, I get it's supposed to be cute, but really? Like, a sex demon who's a virgin? You'd think they put him through some formal training first. But yeah. But I think I started to like it when, as Patrick mentioned before, the first choice you get is you can either hear them out or you can call the police. I called the police. So I was like, this is what any sane person would do. I'll call the police and I'll see what happens. And then it ends. The police come along, they take him away, you live your life like normal. I was like, oh, that's quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. They've given me a choice to just not accept this because it is rather absurd. So then I was like, oh, like maybe this isn't bad. And yeah, the more I went on, the more I kind of enjoyed it to a certain extent. I mean, they then go downstairs and start like rummaging around your house and then cooking for you, and that is a cliche if ever there was one, that they start cooking for you and it's amazing. I think they do it in Sakura Spirit, for fuck's sake. They do it in Sakura Angels as well. Such is the diversity in their writing. But I was surprised that I enjoyed this. And it's a good thing that I did. Because I'd probably go back and do another route. But it was good. I was surprised. Can you believe this? We've got Patrick. we've got 2 games in a row that we both liked. This hasn't happened yet.
It's pretty impressive. We'll see if it lasts, though.
Spoiler alert, we've got a 3rd one now coming as well.
I know. I just want to give some final thoughts about this game, though, because I did quite like it, and it's nice to see that's continuing to be developed at this point, because when I left off with it, I was liking it, but then I was really disappointed when I saw that there wasn't more to it. And now that I see they're still working on it, I haven't got a chance to play the new version yet. I've just checked about maybe 5 minutes of it from when Chris was speaking, but it looks pretty promising, and I like to see the final version because I know they're going to have something with all the routes at some point. So, yeah, a lot of promise. I like the art. I don't really call the music, but sure, it's a good game.
Yeah, I think the music was, again, like, really sweet. Music is a thing which... I don't generally mention music in games, and that is a problem I have, but basically, we're growing up around a family where no one could stop humming or singing constantly. Noise really annoys me, so as soon as I don't like it, I don't bother sticking around to see what it sounds like. I just mute it and turn on Spotify. And I'm pretty sure I was doing that throughout this. I don't know what song I was listening to. Oh, I do! I was listening to the Starbomb album. It's actually quite apt, if you think about it, because, well, it's not. I mean, it is kind of a bit rapey, if I'm honest. Trigger warnings. But, yeah, it's a song about an old guy trying to get Link to jerk him off. It's dangerous to go alone, take this. It's an amusing song. But I think I was listening to that throughout. You know, it's a sex theme song. It's close enough, right?
I guess so. We might went a little bit off topic there, but yeah, close enough, I guess. It's kind of the exact opposite of the point of this game, but sure.
Yeah, it is kind of completely defeating the point of this game. But yeah, I think we can conclude that we quite liked it.
Yeah, it's a nice little game. So
it's indeed a nice little game.
Yes. So moving on, the next game we tried out was called Jesus Life. And Jesus Life is a visual novel that, as you may have guessed... Is it what? A visual novel?
No, it's not the next game we have coming up.
Oh, I went out of order.
Yeah. God, Patrick was so annoyed that we'd done 2 good games in a row that he was like, no, fuck it, I have to get to this one now. I have to find
something to complain about.
I have to break something up. No, we will stick to the order that we agreed to do the games for beforehand.
Indeed, it's very important. Alright, so apologies folks, the next game we're actually covering is Those Without Names. Now, this is a game which... Do you want to say something, Chris?
No, I was merely saying that... I think I was just agreeing with you when you said the name. But I was providing a very helpful insight into your commentary.
Okay. Thank you. So this game starts out with you waking up in a strange place. You don't have any recollection of your name or your memories. The place you find yourself in, it seems very dreamlike. As it begins, an older woman greets you, saying that everyone here doesn't know their names, they don't recall memories of their life, and you just get some generic number, which it's a couple of digits long, but basically you just know each other by the last digit. So your number's 8, her number is 7. And she decides to take you around to meet the others, so hopefully you can regain some of your memories through interacting with the people at this place. And the person she first takes you to actually turns out to be your brother, which is quite the coincidence. The two of you recognize each other and you share a hug. Neither of you can really remember each other's names, though. Your brother just goes by the name Zero. He asks 7 where the place is, but she avoids answering the question because I guess she's not really wanting to reveal everything right then and there. Zero mentions that he has a room where he sometimes sleeps, and 8 decides to ask about sleeping because she's wondering how exactly do you sleep in a dream. As Zero explains it, at certain points you're going to recall memories of your life, and during this time you kind of lose consciousness, and when you wake up you appear back in the room where you first started out in. And these memories are more like reliving the scene rather than just remembering it. Eventually, Zero takes you to another person whose name is 13. He's a bit of a rebel, so he decides to use 2 digits for his name. He's also a bit of a musician, as is your brother. And it's at this point when your character has a memory about being with her brother in his room and composing music on his computer. And after you have this memory, you wake up and you find yourself back in your room in the dream world. You spend a bit more time in this dream world, hanging out with your brother, 13 and also 7. You experience a few more memories. Eventually, you're going to have a conversation with 7 where she mentions that 8 and 0 kind of remind her a bit of her children. She says that as long as she doesn't want her children to, as long as she doesn't want to leave her children, she won't wake up, which is a bit of a mysterious statement. 0 asks you what you believe this place is, and you have a couple of different options, but mostly your character's not really sure, so they don't really go anywhere at this point. And it seems that 0 is trying to have this really kind of foreboding feeling about this place, and he doesn't seem to think that it's just a dream. At some point after this, you have this weird dream where you feel yourself in tremendous pain and you feel a crushing sensation. Eventually you wake up from this dream, and your character observes how she actually doesn't remember having any memory like this before in her life. Now, we're not going to mention too much more about this game, but shortly after this, 7 has her awakening, which is kind of this thing where a person moves on from the dream world and they supposedly wake up again in the normal world, or at least that's the belief your character has. She says that she's having her awakening thanks to 8 and 0, who's shown them that her children aren't alone, even if she can't be there for them, and that they have each other just like 8 and 0 have each other. At this point, she turns into light and just disappears. And the game goes on for a bit. There is a definitive ending, but I don't think we want to see what it is because it's kind of spoils the whole purpose of the game. Right?
Yeah, normally we can go quite deep into a game just because revealing the plot much further down the line is doesn't really matter, because a lot of the time the plot is just romance and it's how far you get down with the guy. This game doesn't have romance. It is pure story. So if we talk about the end, we're gonna give away what happens. Don't, by all means, it's quite obvious. Patrick and I found out within the first 10-15 minutes, didn't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But it's really good, basically. The art is, oh my god, there's this, you're on this thing and you're looking down at Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say, if that Earth is drawn, credit to that artist, because fuck me, that is gorgeous. It's so nice. Like, it got to the point where, obviously, the Renpai trick, where if you press middle mouse button, or was it? I can't remember. I think it's H on your keyboard. It gets rid of the text menu, so you can see more of the picture. I did that. I stared at it for about a minute or so. It was so pretty. I think and the music's alright as well. The character sprites are done very well as well. But this game is purely about story. I think Patrick's gone up to as much as we can say without us blatantly spoiling the game. But it's so good, you need to play it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really great. It's an interesting concept, which is totally different from pretty much everything else we did during NaNoWriMo. So I think that's one of the reasons why we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I played this towards the end of the 37 games I played with NaNoWriMo, and I had lost hope way after then. So just finding this was just incredible, and then it turned out to be so good as well. I have seen, weirdly, a few people mention, like in I think a forum I was reading. I don't remember which one it was. It must have been Lemonsoft. Why wouldn't it have been? But someone was saying that it might be the fact that it's forbidden love between the brother and sister. I didn't see that at all.
I didn't see that at all. No, I think that's someone just projecting.
I think it's quite clearly sibling love. It doesn't get any further than that. It's quite firmly that. But yeah, it is really good. Basically, if Blind Griffin wasn't the best visual novel to come out of NaNoWriMo, this is. Mm-hmm. It's really good. That's all. Literally all I can say about it. It's really, really good. Go and play it. after you've listened to this show, it should be the first thing you do. You should download it and go and play it.
Do you know who the developers of this game were?
Yes.
Let's give them their credit.
No, it's...
No?
They don't have it on VNDB. Why wouldn't they have it? I had a spreadsheet with all of this, but it kind of went missing. I think this is their first project as well, which made it even more surprising.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Wow. UC. YUUCIE. UC. There are trigger warnings in their Lemmersoft description. We'll take a point off their score for that.
What were the trigger warnings for this? Or is it a spoiler? Because I feel that if you did have anything, it'd probably spoil the game itself.
Yeah, you can't say what the trigger warnings are.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It does.
Yeah. That's why I didn't say what they were. One of them is claustrophobia. Okay? I will say that if you're triggered by claustrophobia, not the game for you. I can't say the other two because they're both big spoilers. They're both massive spoilers. But yeah, I think this person just calls himself UC because that's oh my god, solo made. Holy shit, this person did the art and the writing. Nice
job.
Holy testicles, this person is fucking talented. But yeah, yeah, they don't appear to have credited themselves in any other way other than UC. So yeah, UC, good job. That was fucking incredible. And yeah, really, really good. Now you can get onto the game which you wanted to mention before.
Yes, after our full start. Okay, so one of the other games we played, which I guess this is the combo breaker of the series, is Jesus Life. And Jesus
Trigger
Life...
warning, this does contain religious content.
If you couldn't guess, spoilers. I'm sure it ruins this... I don't know, should we not spoil this story either? I don't know if people will be able to guess what happens.
Yeah, if you haven't read the Bible and you were meaning to at some point, what we're about to say contains massive spoilers for what happens. Only in the New Testament, though, because it covers Jesus of Nazareth. It doesn't cover any of the stuff from the Old Testament. So
yeah. If you haven't gotten on to the next part yet?
Yeah, you're fine for those books, just... it will feature spoilers as to what happens with Jesus Christ. Do have to point that out, just for people who'd be gutted if we just went into it.
Right, so Jesus Life is another game that was done during NaNoWriMo. It's a visual novel that tells the story of Jesus of Nazareth. It starts off with a generic-looking classroom with two characters named Lucy and Michael. You play the role of this unseen observer, which you get to name. For some reason, shortly after
Dave.
Yeah, of course. That's what I probably figured.
Yeah.
For some reason, Michael decides to say Chachan certainly after this, which I don't even know because the rest of the game...
Right, okay. I have to point out, right, because I was as confused as you were with that, and I only found out what he meant with Chachan. He didn't actually mean the Japanese suffix you add to names to greet certain people. This game is made by a Spanish developer. The only reason I know it's made by a Spanish developer is because I speak fluent Spanish, right? I speak two languages fluently. So I went on to the Spanish version afterwards because the English version, it did have some grammatical errors. I think that would be fair saying, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It had some pretty bad errors. So I was like, there is no way that Spanish is their first, that English is their first language. So I went back and they had Valencian as an option. I've lived in Spain for 11, nearing 12 years. I didn't even know that was one of the dialects. It just, they got me like Basque and Catalan and Gallego. All mostly pointless, bar Catalan. Catalan is sort of different to Spanish to the point where if someone spoke it to you, you'd probably only understand half of what they said. Stuff like Gallego and Basque, you can fucking understand every word of that, right? it's anywhere else, it's like regional accents, but they have like a few different words they pronounce differently. But yeah, anyway. And then I went on to the Spanish version, perfect grammar. And this comes into a very long-winded story as to why I know that when he says cha-chan, it's not. He's going like, ta-da! But they didn't know what that was in English. Because in Spanish, it's chichin. Like, like chichin, like with money.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Yeah, chichin. But yeah, in English, they didn't know what it was. So they went to English and went cha-chan, but it doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah, and given all the other visual novels that say chan to everything, I was just absolutely confused as to who he was referring to.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We're from the Western world, and we're gonna, Palestine to visit Jesus and whatnot, but we are just going to use Japanese suffixes as well. Yeah, luckily it wasn't. That is probably the only thing I can excuse this game of doing, but you know what? Tell us about the wonderful things they did and how they met Jesus.
Alright, so after you get introduced to these characters, they decide that, hey, we're going to travel back in time to Palestine of 2,000 years ago and Jesus is there, so let's go meet him. We're time-traveling kind of anime-appearing high schoolers, I guess, which is the thing of this game. No
one questions it in the modern world. Apparently, it's normal.
No. How else are you going to get to know Jesus if you're not going to time travel back and visit him? So
you pray, of course, Patrick. But yeah, sorry, go on.
What an idea. So they take you back to the year -6, which it's probably like a translation thing, so I'm not going to really pick on it now. When Jesus was born. But they don't know where exactly, so they have to refer to gospel passages to figure out the location. They pull out a map, and I think this is one point in the game where you have interaction. You have to point out on the map where two areas are, Galilee and Judea. And
did you write that down?
I did. I took notes so I can remember.
I was going to say...
No, I have my Bible memorized, Chris. What are you talking about?
Yeah, sorry. And these, the uninteresting books as well. I don't even know why you'd have that bit memorized.
So, you point out where they are on the map, and that's really all there is for interaction. The rest of the game is straightforward. Eventually, you figure out where Jesus is, and you go to the stables where he's born. Along the way, you meet two shepherds. Now, as far as I know, these weren't time-traveling shepherds, but they appear to be wearing modern-day clothing, and they kind of look like they're from the same high school as you.
Yeah. And
they're identical. They're identical twins, too, which is the best part of all.
Mm-hmm.
So, shortly after them, you also happen to meet who I'm going to call Anime Angel Girl, who just appears before you and proclaims the good news of the Lord while striking a sassy pose and wearing a miniskirt. And rocking thigh highs, of course, because how else is an angel going to roll?
Exactly.
So, yeah, it just might be the most ridiculous part of this VN, that one character right there. But other stuff happens which gets equally ridiculous, and I'm guessing if you are the religious type, you might get more offended by its appearance than anything else, so...
We have to say, we're talking about the technical aspect of the game and stuff which is objectively bad. We'll get onto the religious stuff afterwards.
If you want to, okay.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. But we will have to say... No, we'll address it at the time. By all means, go on.
So anyway, yeah, this goes on for a bit. You see like they actually show an actual painting of baby Jesus and I guess his crew at the background.
They show several paintings.
Yeah. But I like this one particularly because you see him in the background and then the anime type people appear and you just talk about it and it goes on for a bit. The game preaches the good news about the love of God and all that stuff. I would say it would get a bit boring, but luckily the game designers decided to grace us with the appearance of anime sprite Jesus.
Whoa, the word of Jesus and God is never boring. How dare you, Patrick?
So yeah, they spice it up with anime sprite Jesus, who, I'm not really going to comment on the historical Jesus, because I know there's a debate about that in particular as well, but I'm pretty sure they didn't get it right in this game, because he appears with long blue anime hair, and who did you say he looked like? Because I think you mentioned someone in particular, Dante from.
It's a sort of like this weird bowl white hair thing he's got going on.
Yeah.
Basically, imagine if Sephiroth made love to the old school Dante from Devil May Cry, and then they just put like a modern jumper on him. Like,
yeah,
that's
he
what
has like
Jesus
jeans.
looks like.
It's really weird looking.
Now, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, there is some debate as to what Jesus actually looked like. I can almost guarantee you that he looked nothing like he did in this visual novel.
It certainly wasn't this, anyway. So he goes on to tell a parable about a lost sheep and its shepherd, which is supposed to be a metaphor for God finding the lost non-believers, that kind of thing. And following the story, we get into a bit more stuff about Jesus and his deeds. Eventually, you meet up with another anime girl named Anne, who, for whatever reason, just tags along for the rest of the game, even though she does literally nothing.
Yeah, you randomly meet her and she's like, oh, fuck it, I'll come along. Why not? Like, I'm headed in your way anyway, I think.
Oh, yeah, and I forgot to mention, but every now and then, they have a little, like, transition where, like, one of the characters appears on screen and does, like, a little dance or anime pose, and then, you know, it cuts to the next scene, which they were all very startling, and it seemed out of place for, like, the rest of the game. I don't know if you recall that.
Startling.
Yeah, there's stars
like,
and
a
shine.
ray of stars behind them as they cross along the scene in a transition.
Yeah, so eventually you find out that there are people that don't like Jesus, spoiler alert, and he gets put to death, he's resurrected. I'm sure you probably heard this story at some point, even if you're not Christian, but what you didn't hear was that it was apparently anime angel girl who proclaimed the return of Jesus, rocking her miniskirt and thigh highs once again.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't she be stoned for wearing half the stuff she wore back in the
I would
days?
think. I'm pretty sure when they talk about angels in the Bible, this isn't what they had in mind either.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not what they had in mind.
And I guess that's about it. Other than that, anime sprite Jesus appears once more in the classroom and just tells you to go forth and spread the word. And that's about the end.
Yeah, no, you forgot so much!
Okay, let me know, Chris.
Patrick, I have to ask, are you an atheist? Because you don't appear to be spreading the words, the good word of the Lord very well.
I would just say I'm not religious in general. I really don't care about religion, and I don't care for arguing about it. I don't care for which is right. I just would rather not deal with it.
Okay, awesome. Right, I'm going to have to say something before I go on. Are you religious? If so, if the answer to are you religious is yes, are you offended by two atheists going over religion in, I wouldn't say a mocking way, but in a way which would make you angry? If so, there's timestamps in the game below. Click on the one for Innate Imperfections, and you won't have to hear the next 5 minutes. Okay, so how long do you reckon we'll give them to do that? 5 seconds?
Sure.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there anyone religious still around? Because you've been warned. This is merely opinions going on. Right, so in the game, they do preach about how God is... I should be preaching to the choir here, right? Because the only people left are people who aren't religious. But they say about God's all about love. Now, I've read a critical reading of the Bible, right? He's not very nice, is he? Like, half the time. Because with the Palestinians, what he did, he just sort of chose a favourite and went, right, okay, well, you're my chosen people, and you're going to live. You see those other people over there with that land they've occupied for hundreds of years? Yeah, we're just going to go around and slaughter them. And the more the game talked about how God only spread love, I was like, the New Testament seems to be the thing that gets the most quotes, just because the Old Testament's fucking evil. Right. There's this bloke, he's called Achan, right? When they went and overtook this city, they went and slaughtered everyone, took all the loot, and then they offered the loot up to God. Now, God noticed one day that there was something missing. And it turns out that a bloke, Achan, had nicked a bit, right? He then eventually put his hands up and went, look, I'm really sorry, it was me. I asked for forgiveness. Now, there are two options here, Patrick, and I'd like you to choose which one you think God did. This is all in the Bible. You can fucking read it, right? So, for asking for forgiveness, do you think he A, forgave him? Do you think he B, forgave him, said sorry, be like, alright, well, please don't do that again? go back to your home, we'll sort of like downgrade your house slightly, you'll learn, but as long as you believe in God, you'll be fine? Or did he C, round up his family, sons, daughters, cattle, and so on, and stone them to death? Which one do you think he did?
It's a tough choice, but I think I'm going to have to go with C.
Yep, it was C. So the more they talked about love, I was like, really? I've read the Old Testament. Like, it doesn't go... It's not all about love. It's so just evil. And there's this parable they tell in the story where, what was it, Jesus... He tells the parable of the blind man who he cured.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly could make see. Now, I think surely you just blind yourself again if you couldn't see and then suddenly there was all this light around. But that aside. Again, should be preaching to the choir. Everyone religious, that's fine if you believe in God. It's perfectly fine. You just shouldn't be listening any longer. And it does... And he went, oh yeah, well, okay, well, I'll prove my faith... I'll prove that I can do this stuff. I haven't got the direct quote down, annoyingly. He did it as a way of proving his faith to others. And, all like, oh yeah, look, see, I am the good guy. But he only was cured of his blindness because he didn't believe in Jesus and God. And it's like, okay, so hang on a minute. Why do I get a better deal for not believing in God than I do for believing in God? Because, I mean, there were many more ill people around.
Yeah, I think there's
this person
a
who
quote
doesn't
from the game as well, which I want to just mention real quick. When after they talk about Jesus healing the blind man, the guy's like, what's his name, Michael, he says, oh, well, the next time I'm sick, I'm going to go see Jesus and see if he can cure me. And like, well, hold on a second, Jesus doesn't do parlor tricks. He's not going to do anything for you. And like, well, it's not necessarily a parlor trick. He wants to get healed if he's sick. Yeah. What if he's got cancer?
He wants to get healed if he's sick. Yeah, it's just like, I have this massive headache. I think it's a tumour. What can you do? Anything? And Jesus just shows up and goes, okay, what is it? I have a tumour in my head. I don't know how long I'm going to live. No, sorry, not worthy. Go on, next one. Like, and they also said about how there were like rich people who didn't believe in serving. They want to be served, and that's really bad. And I was like, you're the guys who endorsed slavery for thousands of years. You can't just change your mind. Well, obviously you can change your mind. You can't change your mind and pretend the bit before didn't happen. Like, there are a lot... God gave laws as to what to do with slaves. Like,
and in this way, this game really is... It's intended for younger kids who are kind of going through religious learning. And I think they mentioned that
it is not intended for two atheists such as ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And so, I guess they don't want to talk about, all the other stuff for whatever reason. You can guess why.
Yeah, it's very silly. I would go on and explain about how now, like, you're to be put to death if you're to, like, shag an animal, but then if you rape a woman, you get off very leniently. Very leniently. But yeah, anyway, should we go on from the religion stuff now?
Yeah, I think we've had about enough of that, right?
Yeah, we've probably pissed off, I'd say a good 10-15 people. So, like, should we go on to our next game?
Let's do.
Which is Innate Imperfections. Now, you've been reading the bios, so I think I'll read the bio. Why not? This came out during NaNoWriMo, but main down point for this game, only a demo. It's only a demo. I'm going to probably spoil it all because it's a demo. It's not the full game. The full game will come out at some point. Oh, God's sake. They're also apparently the kind of people who don't credit themselves on their own VNDB page. If only, say, someone hadn't deleted a list of visual novels and who to credit, right? Because that would have been really dumb. Right, hang on. Dark Sin, apparently, made this. And they've made Violet Hill before. Oh, Red Lattice Studio are the people who made this. Red Lattice Studio. So basically, you are a hit woman. Actually, no, let's read the bio, let's not do it myself. Inna is 22 and a social recluse with a most unusual skill set, assassination. Under pressure of changing her ways, she takes on an assignment very different from what she's accustomed to. Her new job requires her to look out for a 17-year-old girl while she's in college. What sounded like an easy piece of work, with the plus of turning over a new leaf, turns out to be quite a predicament for Inna, in more than one way. Right, so the game starts, and obviously you're a hit woman. Now, you have to kill someone who's drunk, first of all, so you know, because they're drunk, it's really easy. They sort of stumble over, you get blood all over yourself, you drive back, have a bit of a clean off. And someone very dear to you, I think a friend is, never quite established properly, is very ill. And they basically beg you to stop. Can I remember their name? Does it say in the characters? No, it does not. Let's just call them Dave. Alright, so Dave asks Inna if they could do something else. So you, as the bio says, take on this new job, which is looking after a 17-year-old girl. Now, her father is in a trial against a drug lord. And that's why they want protection, because anything could happen. You go along, and there are some choices, and I have to say, the music's very good. I really enjoyed the music. The art is stunning, right? How many times does it rain in visual novels, and you can actually see the rain? I'll tell you how much, it doesn't happen. Right, it never happens at all. I don't know why, it should more. It's very difficult to do, though, I get. But, yeah, and you can either sort of approach the girl at some point, be friendly with this girl you're protecting, or be a bit off the ropes, be a bit sour. And again, I am going to spoil how the demo ends because it's only a demo. You go on and keep protecting her, and suddenly the drug lords try to capture her. Now you kill both of them and put her in your car. You get back, and the dad is sort of celebrating because he's like, yes, finally we have like even more evidence, and now the case will definitely be solved. And there you have an option as to whether to talk to this father and say, look, these people don't forget. But the problem is that that choice is very awkwardly made because it doesn't say that. It says have a word with the dad about her safety, or words to that effect. So I was like, no, that's not my job to care about her personally. So I moved off, and I got the bad ending because of it. In true, again, spoilers for the film 7. Have you seen the film 7, Patrick?
I had a long time ago, but I don't really remember much about it.
Okay, very famous ending. Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt is 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it at this point,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to watch it. So, spoiler alert. In that film, the wife of the main the husband head shows up in a box,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what happens here. Because they see you have some affection towards this woman that starts growing, and yeah, her head shows up in a box on your table whilst you were away. And then you go and get revenge. Now, that's the bad ending, of course. The good ending is that they live and then you go for coffee. However, I shit you not, all that I've just summed up, and there's not even much padding, I've just paraphrased very well, it's between an hour to an hour and a half long. It's a long demo.
Yes.
I don't see where it goes, if I'm perfectly honest, with the bad ending. Because you go out to get your revenge. That's what you want to do. You want to go kill them all. So once you kill them all, I have no idea what happens. You probably die, to be fair. But yeah, the reason I spoiled it all is because it is a demo. It wasn't a... It was made for NaNoWriMo 2015. I'm not sure whether to count it as an actual release, just because it's not a complete game. It's a demo. But the reason I explain everything is to try and intrigue you all. When this game comes out, I cannot see it getting any worse at all. It can only get better in a good way. So, again, I'd implore you all to play it.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes out, though. We don't know when it's coming out. It's coming out at some point in the future. Which is just so very vague. It's why I don't like playing episodic things. Because you never know whether it's actually going to end or not. But yeah, it's very good. I suggest you all play it. There's so much stuff that I've missed. It's not padding, it's all essential to the story. I just pretty much laid out the plot for you. It's good. You should go and play it. Did you get around to playing this at all, Patrick? I don't think you did you?
This is something that I played a bit of, but as I was pressed for time because we were going to do the original NaNoWriMo thing, I only played about an hour into it, so I got about halfway through. But yeah, I really liked the concept, and I liked the visuals of this game. It was very impressive, and I would definitely check out the full release.
Yeah, exactly. I think what like sort of this game does well, all the characters are interesting, right? I hate it when someone just shows up and they're a walking one-trait person. Like, as I said earlier, Emilio in the Blind Griffin, he's just walking angry, but then he's fine, right? There's nothing more to him than that. That doesn't make him an interesting character. I'm the kind of person that likes, say, Joffrey from Game of Thrones, right? That fucking unpopular, right? Because he is pure evil. And of course he's pure evil. I don't support him, Christ. But he's an interesting character. That's what I like. Ina, here, is an interesting character. The girl is kind of an interesting character. You know, she's a vague, slightly dumb in places schoolgirl. The dad is an interesting character. Your contact, you get the contracts through. Interesting character. Your person who's in hospital. Interesting character. They're all interesting characters, which is good. You know, it's really awkward when you can sum up a character in one word. That normally means it's bad. Unless it's like Ronald McDonald, but let's face it, he's probably that anyway. He's probably someone you could sum up in one word, but I don't think he was created to be complex, now I think about it.
Probably not.
Probably not. But yeah, very good. So, I really like the fact that we've changed our ways here. We've reviewed 4 out of 5 good games.
Indeed. 2015's shaping up to be a good year after all.
Yeah, I wouldn't push it.
Okay, let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
That is going ahead a little. At least, at the end of the year, I won't have to think of a top 10, but can only think of like 3 good games, like last year. Last year was shockingly shit.
Mm-hmm. You have something to point to now.
Yeah, exactly. So, shall we conclude, Patrick? I'm going to be honest. I always think these are going to be like quite short, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, how are we going to make these longer than like half an hour? And then what? Hang on, my recording says 1 hour and 33 minutes at the moment. So
yeah, longer than standard, I think.
yeah, 1 hour and 25. It's because we can talk like. I'd go as far as saying we can talk about good games even longer than we can talk about bad games.
Definitely, and there's quite a bit to these games.
Yeah, so if you have any games that you'd like us to play, by all means, suggest. If you have any questions, we can answer those at the end of next episode as well. Just any questions you'd like us to answer, preferably relating to visual novels. I mean, like...
That'd be a good start.
Yeah, because I've done Q&As before, and they all lead off very quickly. Like, okay, I can answer one of them immediately. Yes, we're both dating. All right?
Not each other.
We both have... Yeah, not each other.
Just to clarify.
As much as Patrick wants to, I have told him no.
It's really rough. Getting turned down like that.
He has a... Yeah, he has a very long-term girlfriend. I've been dating girl for just over a year. So... That's a question we can answer now, because that's always the one that comes up, okay? I don't know why, but it is. Trust me, you wouldn't want to date me anyway. I'm like a fat lump. And I'm 5'9". Like, I'm really small as well. I've got nothing going for me but accent and wit. And that really isn't enough. So yeah, thank you very much all for listening. We do very much appreciate you showing up to the Positive Happy show.
Yes, thank you all for your support and for listening to our ramblings for about an hour and a half or whatever it was. And like Chris mentioned, if you have anything you want to discuss, if there's anything you want to, talk about what we said or you disagree with, be sure to let us know in the comments and we'll be aware of it and answer back.
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah, and until next time, goodbye, everyone. Have fun with your journeys and life.
Farewell.